First contact, the storm howled against the reinforced walls of Outpost Sigma 7, a lonely research station perched on the edge of contested space. Inside, Nora Winters adjusted her scanner for the third time, frowning at the anomalous readings. Something had crashed less than a kilometer from her position, and protocol demanded investigation, storm or not. Computer, prepare environmental suit for external expedition, she commanded, securing her dark curls beneath a thermal cap. 6 months alone on this frozen moon had honed her independence. But even she wasn't foolish enough to ignore proper procedure. The trek through knee-deep snow and howling wind took nearly 40 minutes. When she finally reached the crash site, the vessel's design confirmed her suspicions. Definitely not human. More concerning was the trail of glowing blue droplets leading away from the wreckage. Following the luminescent path, Nora found him huddled against a rock formation. His skin rippled with patterns of soft blue light, visible even through the tears in his damaged protective covering. His physiology was vaguely humanoid, but the similarities ended there. Elegant limbs too long for human proportions. Skin that seemed to shift between translucent and opaque, and eyes with vertical pupils that reflected the light of her helmet lamp. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said, hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. The alien's body language tensed further. When he spoke, it was through a damaged translator device at his throat. Humans always say this. Then they fear. Then they hurt. "I'm a xenobiologist. I study life forms. I don't hurt them."
Ow.
Nora took a cautious step forward. "You'll die out here in this cold. Let me help you. You fear me because I'm different," he whispered, his translator crackling with static. Nora hesitated, extending closer instead, extending her hand. "My name is Nora, and yes, I'm cautious, but I'm not afraid. Come with me if you want to live." The alien studied her for long moments before accepting her help. "I am called Tavin," he said finally, back at the outpost. Nora treated his injuries, mainly dehydration and exposure, while maintaining a professional distance. Yet she couldn't help noticing the intricate patterns that flowed across his skin, changing with his emotions. "Your species Lumidari, correct? I've read about your kind but never met one." Tavin tensed. "You know of us?" "Only what's in Federation databases. Your people rarely interact with humans." "For good reason," he murmured. Before Nora could question him further, the lights flickered and died. Emergency backup systems engaged, casting the station in dim red light. "Power cores damaged," Nora realized, checking the diagnostics panel. "The storm must have—" "I can help," Tavin interrupted, his skin pulsing with brighter patterns. "My people understand energy systems, but you must trust me." Nora weighed her options: die alone in a failing outpost, or trust. This stranger from a species known for their isolationism, something in his eyes, a weariness she recognized, made her decision. "Show me what you can do," she said, handing him a toolkit as they worked side by side to restore power. Neither realized this chance encounter would change not only their lives, but the understanding between their species forever. Hidden truths 3 days after the crash. Nora found Tavin studying the outpost's communications array with unusual intensity. His luminescent patterns flowed in agitated rhythms, colors shifting between anxious amber and vigilant blue. "Expecting a call?" she asked, setting down a container of synthesized protein she'd adapted to his biology. Tavin's patterns dimmed slightly. "Expecting pursuit," he corrected. "My presence here endangers you. You mentioned that before. Who's after you?" Tavin hesitated, then slowly removed the upper portion of his borrowed thermal suit. Across his chest and shoulders, intricate patterns glowed with unprecedented complexity, forming symmetrical designs Nora had never seen in xenobiology texts about Lumidari. "I am aberrant," he explained, voice low. "Among my people, luminescence follows strict patterns denoting lineage, social position, and assigned function. Those born with mutations like mine are considered dangerous." "Because you're different," Nora realized, remembering his words from their first meeting. "My patterns suggest creative thinking, unpredictability. My people value order above all else. They fear what they cannot control." Nora's fingers hovered near his skin, captivated by the swirling lights. "May I?" When he nodded, she gently traced a pattern. His skin was smoother than human skin, with a faint electric quality that tingled against her fingertips. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Tavin's patterns flared briefly with surprise, then settled into a gentle rhythm she hadn't seen before. "In all my cycles. No one has ever called my aberration beautiful," he said. The moment broke when the perimeter alarm sounded. Both jumped to the monitors, but it was only debris from the storm later that night. As they shared the small common area, Tavin observed Nora's frustrated attempts to repair a damaged sensor relay. "Your determination is unusual," he noted. "Most beings would accept defeat." Nora smiled. "Humans are stubborn. We don't give up easily. This trait serves you well as a species, but it must be exhausting as individuals." His observation struck her as profoundly insightful. "Sometimes, but it's worth it when we succeed." Tavin's patterns shifted to a contemplative blue. "My people would benefit from such perspective." As days passed, they fell into an unexpected rhythm. Tavin helped repair systems damaged by the storm, while Nora documented his species' biology with his permission. What began as professional curiosity evolved into genuine connection. One evening, Nora caught Tavin staring at an old photograph her with her former research team on Earth. "You miss your collective," he stated. "My family and colleagues, yes. Don't you miss yours?" Tavin's patterns darkened. "I was never truly part of any collective. My difference ensured isolation." "That must have been lonely," Nora said softly. "I never understood what loneliness was until I experienced its opposite," he replied, his gaze meeting hers with unexpected intensity. The moment was interrupted by an alert from the communications array. A Federation patrol vessel was approaching the system, requesting status reports from all outposts. Tavin's patterns flashed with alarm. "If they find me here, they won't," Nora promised, making a decision that would change everything. "I'll make sure of it." "Dangerous Alliance, stay absolutely silent," Nora whispered, guiding Tavin into the environmental control room. The inspection shouldn't take long. Caven's patterns had dimmed to near invisibility, a defense mechanism, he'd explained. "Why risk yourself for me?" he asked softly. The question lingered unanswered as the docking klaxon sounded. Commander Jensen and 2 security officers arrived with standard supplies and routine questions. Nora maintained her composure, reporting the storm damage, but omitting any mention of the crash or her visitor. "You've been alone too long, Winters," Jensen remarked, scanning the common area. "We could reassign you somewhere more populated." "I prefer it here," Nora replied quickly. "My research is just getting interesting." After their departure, Nora found Tavin examining a small terrarium containing earth plants she'd brought for research and companionship. "They accepted your deception without question," he observed. "You risked court-martial." Nora joined him, their shoulders almost touching. "Worth it. What's happening between your people and mine that made you so afraid of them finding you?" "The Luminary Council has designated Earth as a potential threat. Those like me who question this assessment are ... removed." "You're a political dissident?" Tavin's patterns shifted to contemplative purple. "I am a scientist who values truth over propaganda. My research suggests that humans are more compatible with Luminari than our leadership acknowledges." That evening, Nora introduced Tavin to music, old jazz recordings she treasured. His patterns danced with the rhythms, creating visual harmonies that complemented the sounds. "This is how humans express emotion?" he asked, fascinated. "One way of many," Nora explained. "We use art, music, literature, even the way we move to communicate what words can't capture." In return, Tavin shared the ancient meditative practices of his people. Before military efficiency had replaced cultural expression, he guided Nora through breathing techniques that synchronized with his luminescent patterns, creating a connection that transcended physical differences. During one such session, their hands touched. Tavin's patterns surged with bright emotion, and Nora felt a warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with the outpost's environmental controls. "What is happening between us?" he asked, his translator struggling to convey the complexity of his question. I think Nora said carefully, "We're discovering that connection doesn't require sameness." That night, they slept side by side for warmth during a power conservation cycle. Nora woke to find Tavin's arm draped protectively across her waist, his patterns pulsing in a gentle rhythm that seemed somehow attuned to her heartbeat. The intimacy of the moment should have alarmed her professional sensibilities. But instead, it felt like the most natural thing in the universe. "Your heart rate has increased," Tavin murmured, still half asleep. "Are you unwell?" "No," Nora whispered, turning to face him, just realizing something important. Their faces were inches apart. Tavin's patterns swirled with anticipation and uncertainty. "Among my people," he said softly, "light patterns can be shared between those who form deep bonds. Would you permit me to show you?" Nora nodded, and Tavin gently placed his palm against her cheek. A tingling warmth spread from the contact point, and for a brief, magical moment, faint, luminescent patterns appeared on her skin, mirroring his. "Beautiful," he whispered. Echoing her earlier sentiment, the moment was shattered by a proximity alert. An unidentified vessel had entered orbit. Tavin's patterns flashed with fear. "They found me." Pursuit. The wilderness beyond the outpost stretched in endless white, broken only by jagged rock formations and the distant silhouette of mountains. Nora and Tavin trudged through knee-deep snow, the wind carrying away their labored breathing. "The emergency shelter is 3 kilometers north," Nora said, checking her compass. "My supervisor doesn't even know it exists. It was abandoned years ago." Behind them, barely visible through the swirling snow, dark figures disembarked from sleek vessels. The Lumidari hunters moved with military precision, their patterns uniform and disciplined, the antithesis of Tavin's vibrant individuality. "They'll track my energy signature," Tavin warned. His patterns dimmed to bare minimum. "Then we'll have to be smarter," Nora replied. Pulling him toward a narrow ravine, they took shelter in a small cave as darkness fell. Huddled together for warmth, Tavin's anxiety manifested in erratic flashes across his skin. "They'll find us by morning," he whispered. "You should return to the outpost. Claim I manipulated you." Nora took his face between her hands. "I'm not leaving you." The raw emotion in her voice triggered a cascade of brilliant patterns across his skin. Without thinking, she leaned forward and pressed her lips against his. The kiss was gentle, exploratory, a bridge between different worlds. When they separated, Tavin's patterns pulsed in perfect synchronization with her heartbeat. "That was ... double quotes," he began. "A kiss," she supplied. "Human expression of affection. Among my people, this would be comparable." He pressed his forehead to hers, and a warm tingling sensation flowed between them. For a brief moment, luminescent patterns appeared on Nora's skin, responding to her emotions. "How did you do that?" "I didn't," Tavin said, surprise evident in his voice. "You did?" Before they could explore this phenomenon, a distant rumble shook the ground. An avalanche, triggered by the hunters' search vehicles. "We need to move," Nora urged. They barely escaped the ravine before snow crashed down behind them. In their haste, Nora slipped on ice-covered rocks, tumbling toward a steep drop. Tavin lunged forward, his arm stretching impossibly as he caught her wrist. "You never mentioned extendable limbs," she gasped as he pulled her to safety. "Another aberration," he admitted. "There's much about me that frightens others." The revelation should have shocked her, but Nora found herself fascinated instead of fearful. "Show me," she encouraged. Hesitantly, Tavin revealed his full capabilities, limbs that could extend and adapt, skin that could temporarily mimic textures, enhanced perception beyond normal Lumidari abilities. "Now you understand why they hunt me," he said quietly. "My mutations could change our entire species if passed to future generations." Instead of responding with words, Nora reached for his hand, squeezing it firmly. "Your differences aren't something to fear. They're evolutionary advantages. On Earth, we've learned that diversity strengthens us." A searching spotlight swept nearby trees. The hunters were closing in. "I have one more ability," Tavin whispered. "But using it will reveal our position." "What is it?" I can disrupt electrical systems. It's how I survived alone so long, Nora thought quickly. Their ships and weapons run on electricity, don't they? Tavin's patterns brightened with understanding. Yes, but the range is limited. We'd need to let them get close. Then that's what we'll do, Nora decided. Set a trap. As dawn broke, they prepared to make their stand. No longer running, but facing their pursuers together, their differences, now their greatest strength. Homecoming, the abandoned emergency shelter, stood at the edge of a frozen lake, its weathered walls providing little comfort against the approaching hunters. Inside, Nora and Tavin worked rapidly to prepare their desperate plan. Once they surround us, I'll need to concentrate completely, Tavin explained, his patterns fluctuating with nervous energy. I won't be able to defend myself. Nora checked the makeshift barricades. I'll protect you. Against trained Luminary soldiers? With what? She revealed a modified pulse emitter from her research equipment. Science. It's not just for peaceful exploration. When the hunters arrived, they moved with coordinated precision, surrounding the shelter with practiced efficiency. Their leader, distinguished by militant red patterns, stepped forward. Aberrant Tavin, surrender for processing. The human will be evaluated separately. Nora stood protectively in front of Tavin. He has a name and rights. Leave us in peace. Impossible. His mutations threaten genetic purity. The leader signaled his team to advance. Inside, Tavin knelt in the center of the room, his patterns building to unprecedented brightness. Now, Nora. She activated her device as Tavin released a surge of energy. The combination created an electromagnetic pulse that rippled outward, disabling the hunters' weapons and communication systems. In the confusion, Nora confronted the leader. Your fear of difference is holding your species back, she declared. On Earth, genetic diversity saved us countless times from extinction. The leader hesitated, his rigid patterns wavering slightly. Our traditions ensure survival. Your traditions ensure stagnation, Tavin countered, joining Nora. His patterns now flowed with confident brilliance. I've studied our history. Before the militancy, Luminary celebrated diversity. Our greatest achievements came from those with unique patterns. To demonstrate, Tavin reached for Nora's hand, where their skin touched. Luminescent patterns flowed between them, something previously thought impossible between species. This connection defies all our understanding, the leader admitted, witnessing the phenomenon. Because your understanding is incomplete, Tavin replied. I propose an alternative to conflict. Let me and those like me establish a research outpost here, working alongside humans. Let us prove our value through discovery rather than conformity. After tense negotiation, an unprecedented agreement was reached. The hunters would report that Tavin had been neutralized, while secretly allowing him sanctuary with the condition that any discoveries benefiting Luminary society would be shared. Months later, the once lonely outpost had transformed. A small community of Luminary dissidents worked alongside human scientists, each group learning from the other's perspectives. The central laboratory had been redesigned with a transparent dome, allowing the aurora borealis to illuminate their work. Beneath these dancing lights, Nora and Tavin stood together on the observation deck, her arm around his waist. His patterns synchronized with her heartbeat in the way that had become natural for them. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Giving up your home world? Tavin's patterns shimmered with contentment. Home isn't a planet or outpost, he replied, resting his forehead against hers in the intimate gesture they'd made their own. It's where understanding replaces fear, where difference is celebrated rather than persecuted. Luminescent patterns that now permanently adorned Nora's skin, a gift from there. Deepening bond pulsed in agreement. When I whispered, you fear me because I'm different. I never imagined you stepping closer would change everything, Tavin said softly. That's humanity for you, Nora smiled. Endlessly curious, occasionally wise, and absolutely stubborn about protecting what we love. Around them, the combined light of stars, aurora, and their intertwined patterns created something entirely new, just like the future they were building together.